Right, I make it a little past 1 o'clock. I know that we're taking up a number of people's time, so thank you all very much for joining us. Just a reminder of some housekeeping rules. When you're not speaking, please ensure that your camera's turned off and your microphone is muted to avoid background noise during the session. We are recording the session to share with all the delegates afterwards, so please keep this in mind when you're posting anything in the chat. And if for any reason your internet or connection fails, please note that the dialing details in the invite. And finally, if you are using the chat function, please add any thoughts, comments or questions, and if there's time, we'll try to respond to these at the end. For those of you familiar with Teams, there's also a hand up function to indicate that you'd like to ask a question. So if anyone would like to use that during the session, then we'll try and come to you for questions. Thank you for joining us. This is the Trading Standards presentation during our engagement week, and we're joined by Amanda Farrell, who's the head of the Trading Standards Coordination at BEIS, and she's going to speak about how we're working to support product safety and metrology legislation across the UK using the regulatorscompanion.info website. As some of you may know, this is a sister site to the Business Companion website, which, as I'm sure you know, is focused on businesses. So if I can pass over to you, Amanda.
Thanks, Stuart, and thanks for that invitation. And actually, it's really good to see so many people are interested in this subject and happy to share their lunchtime with me today. As Stuart said, I head up the Trading Standards Coordination team at the Office of Product Safety and Standards, having worked for many years in local authority trading standards myself. Now, at OPSS, as actually all of you that are working on things like BBFA and primary authority are aware, we pride ourselves in our work forming partnerships with whoever is best placed to provide effective outcomes. And the aim of this session is really to highlight two examples of partnership work we've been carrying out to assist local authority trading standards in their work on weights and measures, particularly, but also on product safety. The role of Trading Standards Coordination team has been around for about 3 years now, and I've been head of the team for 2 years. And the role of the team really is to support trading standards and also environmental health in Northern Ireland in the work regulating metrology and product safety. And this includes working in partnership with CTSI to provide product safety and metrology training, because they're the people who know the members best and know what those needs are. And also we facilitate the National Product Safety Group and the Legal Metrology Expert Panel, which of course bring together the great and the good of the trading standards and environmental health in Northern Ireland knowledge on metrology and product safety, perhaps unsurprisingly, along with the CTSI lead officers, so that they can provide advice and guidance that we couldn't as a government department do alone. As a team, we also contribute to the product safety and metrology content of the gov.uk website. Now, early on in the development of the TSC team, we recognised that to carry out best practice in metrology and product safety, trading standards need to be able to access a number of different sources of information that are produced by a variety of different UK and international organisations. So we started to explore the possibility of creating a one-stop shop to put all documents and links in one place so that trading standards can access them. And we thought this would be a really good place that we could highlight the good practice work of National Product Safety Group and Legal Metrology Expert Panel, so that this can be shared with trading standards too. Now, the immediate question you get on that is, well, we've got .gov.uk, why don't we use that? And whilst .gov.uk is great for sharing UK government guidance, it's a lovely, clear website that people can understand. It actually can't be easily used to host a wide variety of materials that are helpful to trading standards officers in their work. This is why we had to find another solution. Now, obviously, this challenge also applies to other areas of work, and my colleagues in BEI's Consumer and Competition Policy fund CTSI to develop Business Companion website, which, well, I'm sure you'd all agree, and I know when I was working in trading standards, it's an extremely helpful area of advice, bringing together all the advice for business on different trading areas. So we thought working with CTSI would be a good option for that. Now, today I'm going to be showing a video recording which was made for CTSI Symposium and first shown on their metrology focus day, where I'll be joined by Michael Harvey, who is the Legal Metrology Expert Panel Secretary. Michael's going to be talking about some of the OPSS funded work to update the old LACORS guidance on behalf of the expert panel. And then I'm going to be joined by Paul Gordon, who's the Service Director of IT and Production at CTSI. Paul will be talking about the development of Regulators Companion website and demonstrating how this is being used as a one-stop shop for legal metrology, with a bit of looking at the product safety as well. What we'll do then is then return to live, so you'll see me again, to take any questions. Okay, so yes, as I say, this was recorded earlier, I think it was about September time, and you'll see that I do a quick change of clothes and actually change the room I'm in as well. But there you go. So Stuart, if you could share the video, that would be fab. Apology.
Well, hello there. I'm Michael Harvey, and I've been interested in legal metrology ever since I first joined the profession in 1973, which seems a bit of a while back, really. I trained and qualified in London, working for the Borough Consortium of Southwark, Lewisham, Lambeth and Wandsworth. And there was a wide variety of metrological equipment there then, with lots of small weighing machine companies underneath the railway arches, and some heavy equipment too alongside the River Thames. I subsequently went to work for West Sussex, where I specialised in legal metrology, with petroleum and quality management systems, and I also became an IRCA registered auditor. While working with West Sussex, I was seconded to LACORS, or LACOTS, for 6 months, and then I ended up working with them for a day a week until just before LACORS ceased to exist. This involved me with UK representation in WellMet Working Group 5, and after a few years, I ended up as chairman of the group, which I really enjoyed, particularly as the Measuring Instrument Directive, the MID, was being put together. And I took part in some of the European Commission meetings with NWML, as then was, with the colleagues negotiating the directive itself. I was also involved in the process whereby self-verification was proposed and eventually came into being. This was particularly interesting, as the LACORS perspective was one of anxiety. And it was a prime example of local government and central government working together when views were not necessarily the same, but the personal trust that we built up over the years paid dividends. It was really interesting to be involved with presenting contrasting views before both committees of the Houses of Parliament, disagreeing and then going for coffee afterwards. It was really nice. And I firmly believe that this relationship between central and local government is crucial. And I really do applaud the support that OPSS is both giving and also facilitating. Having been involved with the Legal Expert Panel for donkey's years, I now find myself the secretary to the panel. As well as assisting with training and examination moderation with CTSI, I'm also currently working for OPSS on reviewing and updating previously issued LACORS guidance. Time goes round in circles.
So Michael, presumably over the years there was quite a large volume of LACORS guidance produced. How did you approach the task of updating the guidance and decide which piece to update first?
Well, over the years, the LACORS Metrology Panel had met with NWML and agreed on policy matters, and had given advice on practical questions relating to advice and enforcement which were formally published as such, and there were an awful lot of them. Some questions were relatively cut and dried, such as application of regulations or test procedures, where others were a lot more sensitive. And the reason for this was that formal government guidance obviously had to be completely in compliance with legislation, whereas LACORS was actually able to arrive at consensus views as to practical matters, which NWML, as a government department, weren't always able to do. And a good example of this was such as, what do you do when you know the law is about to change, but isn't yet in force? You can't really have the government body saying, well, don't comply with it because it's going to change. But good practice can be generated by a consensus. I've looked into the LACORS guidance, particularly considering the scope and the continued relevance. And I've tried to start with matters that are the most topical and about which questions are currently raised. We've also got to make sure that what we say is legally correct, of course. It's interesting that some questions and problems of interpretation, they never actually go away. And novel ideas and innovations have to be considered within the existing legal framework and ongoing principles. A good example of this is the drinks and the hospitality sector, where they're always pushing forward with novel ideas, which is great, but it isn't necessarily easy to fit these within current legislative requirements. The law is possibly a little bit behind innovation.
Thanks. So what areas of advice have you updated since you've been working on this?
We've looked at a range of subjects and guidance, including the scope of the packaged goods regulations, soft drink vending machines, ink in printer cartridges, use of non-automatic weighing instruments in various business sectors, measurement of AdBlue, which you add to the exhaust systems of diesel cars to keep the emissions down, bulk builders deliveries, broken seals on bulk tankers, and also the addition of lemon and ice to spirits and the point at which they make spirits exempt from the quantity requirements of the weights and measures legislation. The scope of legislation is worth examining in a practical way, and questions about alcoholic drinks are often different in terms of specifics, but they're very similar in terms of concept. And the rise of the popularity of cocktails, and particularly gin products, illustrate this. Currently, we're next hoping to publish shortly the old LACORS bulk fuel guidance notes, which are enormous. They've been rewritten both as a conceptual guide and as a training aid, and we hope that this will encourage people to get more involved in this area of work and show that things aren't perhaps quite as difficult as they think they are, says Michael optimistically.
Yeah, yes, make bulk fuel simple, Michael. You've done very well. So in terms of the guidance, when you've been sort of rereading them, and some of these were quite old pieces of guidance, have you found that you've had to change much on the substance of the guidance? Has much changed in how you do the work?
Well, in many instances, the guidance hasn't significantly changed with regard to concepts. And interesting, the actual substance and principles behind the guidance, it remains the same as 10 or even 20 years ago in many areas. But obviously, references to legislation have needed reviewing. As an example, I hinted at it earlier, there's an exemption from quantity control when gin, rum, vodka and whiskey are part of a drink being a mixture of 3 or more liquids. It's an ancient requirement, but it's been revisited a number of times over the years, especially with new trends regarding as to what might be a liquid. Is melted ice a liquid? Is squeezed lemon a liquid? So same question, but different substance. Also, obviously, types of equipment have died out, and so references to them have become superfluous. Bulk fuel tankers are a good example of this, where perhaps older and more simpler systems have been replaced by new technologies. And in redrafting the guidance, the emphasis is going to try to make it on future-proofing the guidance rather than just being the present. And with proposed legislative changes that we're bound to have, I think there's wisdom in that.
Yes, possibly. So the message really is that although the law might change, how you test often remains the same, and how the legislation applies often remains the same. Is that right?
Indeed, yes. Yes, the basic concepts generally remain the same.
Which is, I don't know, really interesting. And probably hope to people like me who might have trained many years ago, but you never know, you never know where you're going to end up working. Now, obviously, you've drafted this guidance on behalf of the expert panel. But how did you work with the other expert panel members to sort of quality check and agree the advice?
Well, the way we've gone about this is that I draft the revised guidance initially, and then I put it to the chairman of the group and to any particular subject experts for a first review to make sure I've completely and not gone up the wrong track. The next stage then, once their views have been taken into account, is to put it to all the expert panel members for their consideration. And then finally, the document's formally put to the group as the expert panel, so if they accept it, it can be published. This effectively gives a three-stage filter and review process because it's easy to get the wrong end of the stick, and it's easy to look at things from one's own angle rather than a collective angle. So 3 stages of review, I think, is probably pretty good.
It sounds very thorough, and to be honest, we are all very grateful to we've always been very grateful in government to the Legal Metrology Expert Panel for the work that they do, making sure that guidance is checked and practical and can be used. In terms of the LACORS guidance task, is it finished or is there still more to do?
There's a tremendous amount to do, actually. When one starts looking at the lists, it's amazing how much has been produced over the years. So there's a lot of existing guidance that we need to look at still. It's also likely new questions will arise and could be addressed in a similar way, so that those conclusions can be published openly on the Regulator's Companion rather than done within the profession. I think that's probably quite important. So yes, a lot to do, a lot to be published, but I think it's very worthwhile. It's just astonishing what comes round and round from years gone by.
Okay, now we keep talking about Regulator's Companion, and I guess that everyone's keen to know how to access all the good guidance that Michael's been working on. So to show us the Companion and to help us with that, we'll move over to talk to Paul Gordon from CTSI to find out about how they have worked with Office of Product Safety and Standards to develop the website. Oh, thanks, Paul. I can see you now.
Good.
So, Paul, would you like to introduce yourself and say something about your role?
Yeah, Paul Gordon. I'm the Service Director for ICT and Production at the Chartered Trading Standards Institute. My background is very technical. I have a strong IT background, and in a former life I used to work at Essex County Council, where I wrote and developed one of the original pieces of software trading standards used to use, TS-Link PC. I then joined the Chartered Trading Standards Institute over 20 years ago, and since then I've worked on the analysis and design of software and databases and various other bits of technology that sit behind some of our products and our websites. So I've been involved in the CTSI website over the years, TS Interlink, pattern approvals, the advice and content syndication systems that we use, and also the GRIP tool that was a precursor to the Regulator's Companion. Within CTSI, my day-to-day role looks after all the CTSI ICT infrastructure, the servers, the phone systems, and so on. And I also head up the small production team we have that looks after all the content on the products that we sell and the websites, from the e-learning systems to video production. And I suppose one of the highlights from recent years has been the introduction of the Business Companion website, where we designed and developed the systems that power the website, and also we coordinate all the subject matter experts who contribute to the advice that appears on that website. So our background in the Business Companion website was very helpful when we were approached by OPSS to refresh the GRIP website.
As you said, yeah, when we came to you, we came to CTSI and said, look, we've got this website called GRIP. It's a bit out of date. Some of the content's a bit out of date. It doesn't look so good anymore, a bit old. And we're thinking of repurposing this to make it more up to date and use as regulated companion. How did you go about that?
Well, I think we had a bit of a head start because we'd had a bit of a success story with the Business Companion website. And we also know that a lot of regulatory professionals out there use the site because we've been told, and people have symposiums and meetings saying, please carry on doing it because it's such a useful site. So very early on in the project, we jointly arrived at the idea that we should try and replicate that success by closely mirroring the Business Companion site. So to give you an idea, the Business Companion site attracts around 50,000 sessions per month, and a good proportion of those are regulated. So we thought we would be onto a good thing if we carried on that similar behaviour. So when we approach such a project, we try and set down what the purpose of the site is very early on. And most sites, or just about every website out there, talks about we want to connect visitors to the content. And this site's no different. The trouble is, though, that there are lots of different types of visitor, and they all tend to work very differently. So there are experts out there, like Michael, that know the content exists and probably have a fair idea of whereabouts it is and can just perform a very quick search and find the results. But there are others out there that would know the general area of the content that they're looking for, and they might like to browse or drill down into the content. So just like on the Business Companion website, we applied a lot of thought to how they're all grouped together by subject and type. And we've also tagged them, which is a more informal structure of how you can group together like documents. We've also got a content hierarchy that I'll show you shortly in the demonstration, and we've tried to pepper the summaries of the documents that are up there with keywords to help people search. And the other angle is to make a website, and any software for that matter, easy to use, and that was very high up our priority list. So it's good that the site has got some very helpful content on there, and we've found that most users will initially walk over hot coals to get to them once or twice, but after a while they'll get a bit fed up and start looking elsewhere for the content. So we've tried to make the site really easy to use, and hopefully that will come across in the demonstration shortly. So the other thing that really helped us is that the UK government published what they call design patterns, and that's a very quick leg up for a website developer, because the government have spent a lot of time working out what makes a good website and how things should work. So it helps us as developers, but it will also help visitors to the site because they'll recognise common parts that are used on other websites, and they'll just go, well, I know how this works, so I can just quickly pick up how this website operates. So for example, the site's got some standard features on there, like a search and a login feature, but we've also used parts of the Business Companion approach, which is drilling down through subjects. So there's a sort of 3-level hierarchy on the website, so that's the drill down that is on the Business Companion website. So early on, we, in the design process, very much in conjunction with OPSS, we started with some very rough sketches of how the site would work and how it would look. And that's really helpful because it also helped us map out the way the content will be grouped together. So the content hierarchy is greatly helped by that design process. And then finally, we've also encouraged OPSS to use the site to host content as well, where it's possible, rather than acting as a signposting site, solely a signposting site. It does have directions to other websites, of course, but having the content on one site, as Amanda said earlier, makes it a one-stop shop, and it also helps, of course, the search engine on the website. If the search engine knows the content is there, it will quickly connect an expert user to the site because the content is there. So where we've signposted to other websites as well, we've actually put on a description of the website too, rather than just the website link. So hopefully all of these things have combined to make a very easy to use website.
Thanks, Paul. So I think now's the time. Could you show us how someone from the trading standards could use the site?
Yes, certainly. I'll just change my screen so we can have a quick look through the website. The first area of the site we encounter when we first visit it is obviously the home page, and you'll see that there's a drill down by subject section on the home page. Obviously the principles I'll demonstrate here apply to the other two sections, but we're going to take a quick look around the legal metrology section. So click on that panel will take us down to the next level, which is the types of material that that particular section contains. So if we have a quick look at the resources where the majority of Michael's work is contained, you can see there's quite a stack of material there that will be of interest to you. And a quick click on one of the documents or the hits takes us to the document in question. So within 3 clicks, we've drilled down to the content we're after. So it's pretty quick and simple to use. And as well as the drill down, obviously there's the ever-present site search, and you can search for anything. It's a free text search powered by Google. So if I were to put in a organisation name and perform a search, I very quickly see that there are 19 results relating to that particular phrase, OIML. And it's paginated, so there's 10 per page. But I can, because it's Google, I can use all sorts of other Google tools. So search term in quotes, searches for the exact phrase. So that's very quickly reduced my 19 results down to just 3. And there are other tools you can use. You can do a search with the minus sign in front of a word, and that performs a search for OIML, but excludes documents containing the word advice. So that's another way to filter your results very quickly. As mentioned, all the documents are tagged and categorized according to subjects. So if I just do a quick search for beltwayers, spell it correctly, you'll see also that it also searches for belt space weighers too. So another look use. So I'll click on one of these documents and you'll see that a particular category and that all the documents are tagged, and within the search results you can see all the different types of tag that are assigned to these particular documents. So I just click this top one here, and there they are all listed, and they are clickable. So if you're in a particular document and you think, actually I'm interested in a particular type of tag or documents that are tagged that way, just click the tag and it lists all of the documents relating to that particular tag, which is quite helpful because you can jump around very quickly between different types of document without really actually knowing what's there in the first place. So again, a click on hit will take you straight to that particular document. Now on the top here is also the ever-present breadcrumb trail, which keeps track of where you are in the website's hierarchy. So they're all clickable, those links. So if I were to click tools, I get a list of all the tools relating to legal metrology, and in this particular case I can see that there are all sorts of enforcement notices and compliance notices. These are template Microsoft Word documents that you can download and make use of for your own purposes. So just have a quick look at one of those. And then also the e-learning side of things. The website contains a learning management system. At the moment it's in the used it in the product safety section of the site, and here you'll see that the e-learning itself is all split by chapters, and it's not just straight text, there's a lot of interactivity, and we will expand on this in the metrology area too, but it's a sort of like a slideshow, but there are some tests and some interactive tools to help your learning. And the learning material is freely available, so it's all publicly available. But if you log in and then attempt the courses and tests, it does keep a track of your score and provides you with CPD certificates. So once you've logged in, you click on the My Profile link and My Courses, and you'll see there is the certificate, PDF certificate available for download.
Thanks, Paul. That was really comprehensive and helpful view of Regulators Companion. So so could you tell me what the next steps are for Regulators Companion?
Well, obviously, as new content comes in from Michael, we'll be uploading that to the metrology area. But shortly, we're going to start work on some metrology training videos, and they'll be added to the e-learning part of the metrology area of the website. We'll also be expanding other parts of the site, so we're also adding some e-learning soon on cosmetic safety in the product safety area of the site. And of course, the site is very flexible, so it can also be extended to cover any range of regulatory areas. So we shall see what happens in the future.
Okay, thank you very much for spending the time with us there, Paul. That was really much appreciated. Hi, back to Amanda, I think. Back to me. I just want to say, I hope that was useful. For me, that's quite a different thing to be doing in terms of training. I hope it's highlighted just an aspect of how we're supporting trading standards on metrology, and as well as a bit of a demonstration of Regulators Companion. Now, Regulators Companion, although it is aimed at local authority trading standards, is a publicly available website. Businesses can also have a look if they have an interest in that area, and obviously a lot of the items on there might be relevant to both, perhaps not the enforcement notices. There is, as Paul said, there is a login aspect, but that is only if you're looking to record your CPD, you want some CPD certificates for the training that you undertake. But otherwise it is freely available. Now, obviously at OPSS, we are always interested to hear about ideas and links to both product safety and metrology content for Regulators Companion. And I'm sure, in fact, I'm very sure that Paul Gordon at CTSI would be very happy to hear from anyone wishing to fund additional subject content on the website. As you could see there from the demonstration, at the moment it's product safety, primary authority with some of the links to the statutory guidance and other pages on .gov.uk, and it's legal metrology. But CTSI have got that capacity to expand if they wish to do so, because this is their site. So thank you very much for spending the time from my perspective to watch that and listen. But I'm happy to take any questions, and I probably should have gone back to Stuart for that. I'm afraid of just, yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
That's quite all right, Amanda. Thank you very much. Hopefully everyone found it a useful presentation. There's obviously lots of content there for regulators, and as we could see by the demonstration, some of it is fairly recent. The document used as an example was just September this year. So whilst many officers will have been focused on work away from the business as usual, that has still gone on in the background, and that seems to be a very valuable resource. I can't see any questions in the chat, but as you say, we welcome any questions there. But looking at the time, we've already gone slightly over. So thank you very much for joining us, Amanda, and for providing that video. And thank you very much, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. As I'm sure you're aware, there's a number of sessions over the next couple of days, and if you're interested in joining them, please do so, and hopefully we'll see some of you there. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.